Hello, stranger. It has been a while. It's been a while since we've read together, and I'm sorry for that. I definitely got out of the habit. Um it started with I got food poisoning. That was the first week that we haven't didn't read together. And then it kind of went on from there. The world's become a somewhat chaotic and uneasy place. I suppose it always has been, but just has maybe been affecting me more so than usual lately. And but I think reading together is really important, and I definitely want to keep doing this. Um, if I went too much into detail, I think I would start to sound like Shasta in the passage that I want to read to when Aslan tells him to tell me your sorrows. Uh, so I think I'm gonna read a bit from this. Here, have a piece of orange if you'd like one. Huh. Generally, when I'm asked what my favorite book is of all time, I will say The Horse and His Boy. This is um this is not the first copy I've ever owned. This is not the only copy I own now. I've got like two others right there, I think. What others do I have? I have this copy. This I think is the second copy I oh wait. Yes, I think the second copy. There's another copy that I read out in the rain when I was younger. I think this one, and I have one or two others. Is another one here? Uh no, I must have left that one someone else. But this one I like the cover of quite a bit. Um I have a bookmark that my friend Christy Simonson made me. She has a Cricut machine. And there's Shasta's silhouette and Aslan's silhouette. And I have my backstage pass from the Logos Theater's play uh play performance of The Horse and His Boy, which is truly magnificent. Um oh man, this book. This one has they tried to black out the name of the person who read it before, but I can still kind of read it through the permanent marker. Anyway, I'll keep their secrets though. One time when I was at summer camp, when many years ago, my sister like bragged to some other kid about how much I knew Narnia and was like, what it just asked me offhand, like what is like the third word of the third chapter of the third book, and I essentially got it. It was because I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go chronological order, um, or no, or did I do the other way around? No, I think that is chronologically. Um, no, I did chronological rather than published order at the time. Although I am generally a proponent, a proponent, a defender of published order. So I said the chapter 3 is when I knew that that was the beginning of Erebus's story, and so I was like, my name is, because I know that's how she begins. She says, my name is Erebus Tarkina. But although I was slightly tripped up because in chapter 3, there's an aside in that sentence. So my name said the girl at once. So I don't have these books memorized. But I am deeply familiar with them, and The Horse and His Boy especially. The very first lines are like, this is a story, and to me this is like the story of all stories. It is. This is the story of an adventure that happened in Narnia and Clormen and the lands between, in the golden age when Peter was high king in Narnia and his brothers and two sisters were kings and queens under him. I have this copy has this illustration, which not every copy of The Horse and His Boy has. And I tried to make that out of plasticine. I have that. I don't know how good of a likeness that is. Huh. I have a lot more plasticine art from The Horse and His Boy, because I was when I was in high school, I tried to make a clay animation movie of the whole book. I didn't get very far, but I don't know, I had a lot of fun. Um, I think I will read a bit from my favorite chapter, and one that feels especially comforting in times like these. Um, right. So here, Shasta is separated from his friends, on his own, tired, exhausted, and this is what he says to himself. "I do think," said Shasta, "that I must be the most unfortunate boy that ever lived in the whole world. Everything goes right for everyone except me. Those Narnian lords and ladies got safe away from Tash Bane, but I was left behind. Erebus and Bree and Hwyn are all as snug as anything with that old hermit. Of course, I was the one who was sent on. King Lune and his people must have got safely into the castle and shut the gate long before Rabadash arrived, but I get left out." And being very tired and having nothing inside him, he felt so sorry for himself that the tears rolled down his cheeks. But what put a stop to all this was a sudden fright. Shasta discovered that someone or somebody was walking beside him. It was pitch dark and he could see nothing. And the thing, or person, was going so quietly that he could hardly hear any footfalls. What he could hear was breathing. His invisible companion seemed to breathe on a very large scale, and Shasta got the impression that it was a very large creature. And he had come to notice his breathing so gradually that he had really no idea how long it had been there. It was a horrible shock. It darted into his mind that he had heard long ago that there were giants in these northern countries. He bit his lip in terror. But now that he really had something to cry about, he stopped crying. The thing, unless it was a person, went on beside him, so very quietly that Shasta began to hope he had only imagined it. But just as he was becoming quite sure of it, there suddenly came a deep, rich sigh out of the darkness beside him. That couldn't be imagination. Anyway, he had felt the hot breath of that sigh on his chilly left hand. If the horse had been any good, or if he had known how to get any good out of the horse, he would have risked everything on a breakaway and a wild gallop. But he knew he couldn't make that horse gallop. So he went on at a walking pace, and the unseen companion walked and breathed beside him. At last he could bear it no longer. "Who are you?" he said, scarcely above a whisper. "One who has waited long for you to speak," said the thing. Its voice was not loud, but very large and deep. Are you a giant?" asked Shasta. "You might call me a giant," said the large voice, "but I am not like the creatures you call giants." I can't see you at all," said Shasta, after staring very hard. Then, for an even more terrible idea had come into his head, he said almost in a scream, You're not something dead, are you? Oh, please, please, do go away. Whatever harm have I ever done you? Oh, I am the unluckiest person in the whole world." Once more he felt the warm breath of the thing on his hand and face. "There," it said, "that is not the breath of a ghost. Tell me your sorrows." Shasta was a little reassured by the breath. So he told how he had never known his real father or mother, and had been brought up sternly by the fishermen, And then he told the story of his escape, how they were chased by lions and forced to swim for their lives, and of all their dangers in Tashbane, and about his night among the tombs, and how the beasts howled at him out of the desert. And he told about the heat and the thirst of their desert journey, and how they were almost at their goal when another lion chased them and wounded Aravis, and also how very long it was since he had had anything to eat. "I do not call you unfortunate," said the large voice. "Don't you think it was bad luck to meet so many lions?" said Shasta. "There was only one lion," said the voice. What on earth do you mean? I've just told you. There were at least 2 the first night, and there was only one, but he was swift of foot. How do you know? I was the lion. And as Shasta gaped with open mouth and said nothing, the voice continued. I was the lion who forced you to join with Aravis. I was the cat who comforted you among the houses of the dead. I was the lion who drove the jackals from you while you slept. I was the lion who gave the horses the new strength of fear for the last mile, so that you should reach King Lune in time. And I was the lion you do not remember, who pushed the boat in which you lay, a child near death, so that it came to shore where a man sat wakeful at midnight to receive you. Then it was you who wounded Aravis. It was I. But what for? Child, said the voice, I am telling you your story, not hers. I tell no one any story but his own. Who are you? Asked Shasta. Myself, said the voice, very deep, so low that the earth shook. And again, myself, loud and clear and gay. And then the third time, myself, whispered so softly you could hardly hear it, and yet it seemed to come from all around you as if the leaves rustled with it. Shasta was no longer afraid that the voice belonged to something that would eat him, nor that it was the voice of a ghost, but a new and different sort of trembling came over him. Yet he felt glad too. The mist was turning from black to gray and from gray to white. This must have begun to happen some time ago, but while he had been talking to the thing, he had not been noticing anything else. Now the whiteness around him became a shining whiteness. His eyes began to blink. Somewhere ahead he could hear birds singing. He knew the night was over at last. He could see the mane and ears and head of his horse quite easily now. A golden light fell on them from the left. He thought it was the sun. He turned and saw, pacing beside him, taller than the horse, a lion. The horse did not seem to be afraid of it, or else could not see it. It was from the lion that the light came. No one ever saw anything more terrible or beautiful. Luckily, Shasta had lived all his life too far south in Clormen to have heard the tales that were whispered in Tashbane about the dreadful Narnian demon that appeared in the form of a lion. And of course, he knew none of the true stories about Aslan, the great lion, the son of the emperor over the sea, the king above all high kings in Narnia. But after one glance at the lion's face, he slipped out of the saddle and fell at its feet. He couldn't say anything. But then he didn't want to say anything, and he knew he needn't say anything. The high king above all kings stooped toward him. Its mane, and some strange and solemn perfume that hung about the mane, was all round him. It touched his forehead with its tongue. He lifted his face, and their eyes met. Then instantly the pale brightness of the mist and the fiery brightness of the lion rolled themselves together in a swirling glory and gathered themselves up and disappeared. He was alone, with the horse, on a grassy hillside under a blue sky, and there were birds singing. Thank you, friend, for reading with me. I will see you again sooner than last time. Peace, my friend.